Total Knockout. Written by JoJo's Milk Tea. On Tumblr. As of right now, you had never been more embarrassed in your life as you walked through the hallways of your school, trying to figure out what exactly you were supposed to say to Recovery Girl. Your mind was spinning with different things to say, and all of them just sounded idiotic as you attempted to form those words upon your lips. Glancing at Uraraka, her chestnut-eyed gaze comforted you for a moment, with stars twinkling in them warmly.
"You meant no harm,"
she reminded you.
"Remember that time I accidentally made Todoroki's ice cream float away?"
"You still owe me money," Todoroki grumbled with a light tone to his voice. "I'm waiting on you for that." Their light banter made you laugh, and it was great to know that there were people out there who supported you and swore up and down by you. But at the same time, you were ashamed of how you reacted in front of your friends to such a little thing.
"It was only supposed to be an outing inside Class 1C's classroom,"
you thought weakly to yourself. All 5 of you, Uraraka, Ida, Midoriya, and Todoroki, had decided to head over to the haunted house that was rousing attention from all the students, curious as to how scary it would be. After all, Uraraka was a self-confessed addict to horror movies, something all your classmates have discovered while watching movies together in the common room. So it wasn't surprising at all that she would want to go there. Walking through the classroom had started out pretty tame with fake effects, and you had lulled yourself into a false sense of security, rolling your eyes and suppressing your laughter when Todoroki almost froze someone after they tried to touch him out of nowhere. And then there was Shinso. He had popped out of nowhere, one violet blur of color in your vision, but even then, your instincts had chosen to react before your common sense, which was why you're stuck in this situation now. Haunted houses were meant to scare people, but you doubt that any of the actors within the gig wanted to be punched in the face. Your fist still smarted from the pain of punching Shinso, white face paint smeared across your knuckles in a violent brushstroke. You haven't had any time to wipe it away, so you were stuck with the strange color upon your skin until after you dropped Shinso off at Recovery Girl's office. Of course, you were not stupid as to who Shinso was, having seen him fight Midoriya at the sports festival. He was supposed to be a potential candidate for the heroics department, but as you glanced down at his face, you couldn't see it.
How can anyone get knocked out from one punch?"
you mused silently to yourself, still in disbelief from the whole thing. Sure, you might not be at the top of your class, but even then, your punches were just made of human strength and months of training. "We witnessed everything," Ida reminded you solemnly, sending you a smile. He patted your shoulder awkwardly, but you appreciated the sentiment nonetheless. If it weren't for you freaking out, all of you wouldn't be stuck in this situation, towing Shinso to Recovery Girl's office. "Recovery Girl's not going to get mad because we all have our fears, and I'm sure that Shinso will be fine."
"I punched him because of a jump scare,"
you bemoaned. You could feel Shinso's body start to slip from your grip, and you reaffirmed your grip on him, continuing to carry him bridal style. His head rested on your collarbone, hair strands falling into his face in the midst of the sunlight that played upon him in golden fractals. Despite Ida being well-meaning in his words, you were still not dissuaded by them, thinking of the worst possible scenario from punching Hitoshi Shinsou.
"It's not that I'm necessarily scared by jump scares, but how am I supposed to look villains in the eye and defeat them at this rate?"
To be fair, your punch did knock out Shinso, Todoroki mused, casting a curious look at the fallen body in your hands. I'm surprised that only one punch was able to knock someone out.
They're coming for your title as the Hand Crusher,
Midoriya teased Todoroki, bumping his hip into his.
Traveler's the Face Puncher now.
The whole group bursted into laughter, but you were still unsettled by the whole situation. As you walked through the hallways, you could feel pondering stares burn into your skin, practically peeling off your shields of security. With the rest of your friends by your side, you felt a little more secure, and you were appreciative of the very fact that they decided to spend their time going to Recovery Girl's office with you, instead of spending the time at the school festival doing other things.
You punched this young man in the face and knocked him out in the process?
Recovery Girl looked at you skeptically when you announced your arrival in her office. She was eating some candy, presumably from one of the class's booths, but the look in her eyes almost froze you to the bone.
That's very,
She didn't have to finish her sentence for you to know that it was almost unbelievable.
I swear, I didn't use my quirk at all.
You set Shinso onto the bed, making sure that his head was laid upon the pillow. There was a strange look of serenity on his face, and his skin was still caked in white paint, albeit there were tiny cracks in the dried paint with shadows darkening the parts in between.
It's fine, darling,
she hummed, giving the black eyes starting to blossom upon Shinso's face a wary eye.
We all make mistakes, and sometimes we aren't as aware of surroundings as we like to think.
You were glad that it was a light chastisement from her, that she didn't pursue the conversation topic any further. Anyone could see the difference in power between the two of you, and the image that Bakugo had given of Class 1A wasn't very appealing at all. Especially since most of you weren't even as competitive as the explosive blonde, so if this even went to the administration, the chances of you winning the argument were slim, because it looked like you attacked a defenseless student during the school festival, a time to celebrate.
I'll wait for him to wake up. It shouldn't take that long,
you decided aloud to your friends. Flashing a fleeting smile upon your face to them, you flicked your palm away from you towards the door.
You don't need to wait here with me, you know. Go enjoy the rest of the school festival on your break.
Despite their protests, Recovery Girl was able to kick them out, pointing out that her office was far too crowded for everyone to stay. Everything went quiet as soon as your friends left, and Recovery Girl's office was far too removed from the rest of the school festival for any trouble to happen. You found yourself scrolling through your social media apps idly as you waited. You were not so concerned about missing out on the festival as much as you were concerned about Shinso. It didn't take long for Shinso to stir from his knocked-out state. The rustling of the bedsheets alerted you, causing your gaze to fall upon him. Violet wavy locks of hair were in his eyes, and as he rubbed them, only gingerly winced at the pain from your punch. If it wasn't for the fact that you punched him in the face, you would have thought that he took a relaxing nap, with the absence of eye bags.
You took a good shot at me,
Shinso muttered, slowly rubbing circles into his eyes. One eye was lazily focused upon you, and all of your common sense shut down because the attention he was giving you was startling.
I didn't expect myself to get knocked out from a punch so easily. I'm sorry,
you blurted out, not sure what to say in terms of comfort. It was not fun sitting here in the nurse's office just because someone overreacted and took a go at you.
I really didn't mean to.
Much to your surprise, he cracked a grin at you and your "What the hell am I doing with my life?" ass. You could see the color of his eyes, glaciers having carved out the color of purple hyacinth.
You really don't need to be sorry. I don't blame you for being scared of a clown.
I'm not scared of clowns.
Oh, really?
You caught the teasing tone dancing in his voice.
You were in a haunted house, and you saw a clown and punched them. How does that not sound like you're scared of clowns?
Quit it, both of you.
Recovery Girl cut in with a hum. She looked amused by your conversation, the ends of her lips quirking up gently.
I need to go through the procedure to make sure that he's not concussed.
Of course, it would be utterly horrible to know a further development had happened from your punch, so you silently hoped for the best. He wasn't derailed by the fact that there was a faculty member around you. Shinso wasn't like other people in the sense that he didn't act differently around people of authority. It took only a few minutes before Recovery Girl confirmed that he was in the clear, not having any medical conditions of any kind. The two of you walked out of there, and Shinso held the ice pack to his face. The eye that took the punch was covered by the ice pack, but you could see how gingerly Shinso considered the prospect of holding an object with such a contrasting temperature to his face. Guilt shot into you briefly because, as much as you enjoyed talking to Shinso, there was also the very fact that you did punch his face.
In all seriousness, I'm not mad at you,
Shinso commented, just as if he had read your mind. One of his hands cradled the back of his neck out of habit.
It just shows how much I need to do in order to catch up with the other heroic studies students. I can't afford to get knocked out like that again.
What do you mean?
You asked.
You did pretty good in the sports festival, considering that you made it into the final 16 without any training.
A piercing wail of a notification from your phone sent the conversation to an end. It was from Instagram, where you've been tagged in a post, something that didn't happen very often to you. You were curious to find out as to why you were tagged, especially since nothing in particular had happened to you, besides punching someone in the face. The name made you roll your eyes. At UA Insider. Like your school was that prestigious to need a gossip forum to channel rumors and other insignificant things. Your classmates usually ignored these kinds of accounts, unless there was a huge thing going on that needed the administration's attention. As you flicked your eyes across the whole account's information, you realized that a lot of your classmates followed this account. There were the familiar faces of your classmates that were boxed in by the square grid of the feed, but at the very top of these posts you saw your face, along with Shinso's. It didn't seem like much until you realized the exact position that Shinso had been placed in the picture. None of your friends were in the picture, pointing out to you that this must have been taken right after you exited the haunted house in your hurry to get to Recovery Girl's office. Your eyes were on Shinso's face, creased in panic and worry with your eyebrows furrowed, but the camera wasn't able to capture at all. Instead, the whole scene made it look like your world was centered around Shinso, that it revolved around him. The whole photo looked like it had been taken out of a romantic drama rather than a typical slice of life scene. It was so very out of context, and it made your chest burn at the implications.
Oh, is that you and me?
Shinso asked, peering over your shoulder. He raised his eyebrows at you.
I look like one of those princesses in those fairy tales. Especially since I was in your arms.
My damsel in distress?
You joked, bumping your shoulders together.
If you combed your hair, you could look the part.
I do comb my hair,
Shinso said, almost affronted by your comment.
It's just,
And the comb doesn't listen to you?
You suggested with a laugh. He didn't respond to your teasing comment, letting his eyes hover upon the caption in the photo. You took one look at the caption yourself, and your heart stopped for a moment. Even if Traveler might have punched the living daylights out of Shinso, they're still looking at him like he's a total knockout. Does anyone think there's romance in the air?
You don't have to take these accounts seriously, you know?
You hummed, trying to brush off the awkwardness hanging in the air.
They're all about twisting the truth.
it's still the truth somewhat.
He said, and you were not sure where he was going with this, until his next words rung aloud.
You didn't deny I'm a knockout.
The eloquence of his words made you take a double take, choking on your breath. You sputtered out incoherently while he looked at you in amusement, watching you fail to speak for a few moments.
Am I not attractive to you?
He asked, arching an eyebrow. He wiped a fake tear delicately from his face.
That's a shame. I thought we had something going on.
We do?
Your head snapped up at the comment.
Since when?
Relax. You don't need to deny it so vehemently.
He said with a sigh, shaking his head. His eyes caught a glimpse of his friends up ahead where the festival was still going on. He flicked his fingers against your forehead with an affectionate smile on his face.
It was nice talking to you again, but I have some other things to do. Here's hoping that I don't get punched in the face again.
It was only once!
You called out as he walked away.
We'll see.
He sung back. As he walked away, your heart beat slightly faster. And that was when you realized that you were so utterly fucked in the best way. You liked Hitoshi Shinsou.